of kings and kingdoms. But of the Son he says, "Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom." Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8. In 1831, the French government sent 2 men to the United States to study the American prison system, Gustave de Beaumont and Alexis de Tocqueville. They spent 9 months studying our prison system, and along the way observed also the democratic system of government under which the United States had been under for some 50 years. Following their report, de Tocqueville published his own works on democracy in America. His observations were unique because of his unbiased bias. That may seem a contradiction, but in reality, he entered his study as a doubter, a non-believer, and critical of the system, but was won over when he dug deep and examined what it truly was about. His findings are discussed, debated, disputed, and deliberated to this day, nearly 200 years later. When systems are examined and discussed, it is essential that one have as much information before them as possible, if a clear and accurate understanding is to be gained in the examination. So it is with matters of the kingdom of God. At times, Jesus would begin a parable or an observation by asking those around him, "What do you think?" Take a look at Matthew 17:25, Matthew 18:12, Matthew 21:28, and Matthew 22:42, leading them to examine if what he was saying was true or not. In fact, Jesus poses dozens and dozens of questions. Some have counted as many as 135 questions that Jesus posed in order to get people to think. So, as to the matter of the kingdom of God, have you examined it in search for truth? The word kingdom is used over 300 times in the New Testament. Each time, without exception, the Greek word basileia is used. According to Strong's Greek Dictionary, it means properly royalty. That is, abstractly, rule, or concretely, a realm, literally or figuratively. Kingdom plus reign. That's not so hard to grasp. A Washington Post article listed 25 kingdoms and nations ruled by monarchies this day. They are ruled by kings, queens, princes, emperors, emirs, sultans, sheikhs, grand dukes, popes, and by those of no title. Their successions are mostly hereditary, while a few are elected. They rule by constitutions, parliaments, and absolute power. From Great Britain to Liechtenstein, Greenland to Swaziland, Bhutan to the Vatican, each of those 25 are kingdoms in their own right. Each of these kingdoms share several attributes. First, they have a ruler. Second, they each have a territory that they have rule over. Third, they have a law which governs them. Fourth, they have subjects that belong to this kingdom. So it is with God's kingdom today. The kingdom today is the church. See Matthew chapter 16, verses 18 through 19. The ruler of the eternal kingdom, the church, today is Christ. Ephesians 1:22, Ephesians 5:23, Colossians 1:18. The territory that he rules is the hearts of men, and not a geographical area. John 18:36, Romans 10:10. While it is true that God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, that is to say, he owns everything, it is the hearts of men that submit themselves to his rule and authority. The law that rules is his word, John 12:48. The subjects of his kingdom are Christians, Acts 11:26, Matthew 28:19. It is interesting to note the similarities and differences of earthly kingdoms and the Lord's kingdom. While one might be a subject of an earthly kingdom, regardless of obedience or confidence in that ruler, such is not the case in the church. Jesus said, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven." Matthew 7:21. While one may claim to be a member of the Lord's kingdom, If they do not do the will of God, then the Lord is not their ruler. We're not talking of the number of sins, but rather being in direct defiance and insubordination to the Lord. Take a look at Revelation chapters 2 and 3, or Matthew 25, and see what Jesus considered to be faithful and what he considered to be disobedient. And those are our thoughts for today.